Hi everyone, welcome by this small course on the logic of design thinking. I'm Guido Sompf, I'm professor at Holland University of Applied Sciences. In previous courses I already explained what design thinking is and how it is done. And to wrap it up really briefly, I always say design thinking is learning by creating. That's just 3 words. You make things, you create things and test them in order to learn what the problem is exactly and whether or not it solves it. It sounds pretty straightforward, like something we all do. But how straightforward it may sound, the logic behind it is actually quite unusual for many of us. We are trained in deductive and inductive reasoning, and the way how designers reason is quite different. Let's take a closer look. Probably the shortest and most concise definition ever given on design is from Nobel Prize winner Herbert Simon. He said, everyone designs who devises courses of action aimed to change an existing situation into a more preferred one. Now, in order to explain a little bit what he meant, I made it visual. There is an existing situation, as it is today, what I sometimes name in German the Ist situation, and there's a preferred situation, something in the future that we think is better than today's world, than today's situation. That's the soul. And design, as he defined it, is nothing more and nothing less than how to get from the East to the soul. This line of reasoning is omnipresent in all the models on design, at least on the more rationalistic models on design. Let's take a look, for instance, at the famous double diamond, which is used over and over again on the internet. It has 4 stages: discover, define, develop, deliver. And if you take a look at it, the first part is basically about what is the existing problematic situation. Define part is what is the preferred situation that we like to go to. And the last, develop and deliver, 2 stages. The last diamond is how to get there, how to get from the existing situation to the preferred situation. It seems that design is pretty logical. But let's take an example to show that something is going wrong actually in real life, in the real world of design. Let's imagine that we like to do something on the huge amounts of garbage that we all produce in our Western society. The thing is, probably we disagree on what the preferred situation is. Do we like to get rid of all packaging? Do we like to find some way to reuse packaging? Do we like to change our consumerism in such a way that we don't produce so much garbage? I don't know. I think the opinions will be pretty different. We all have different frames on what is the preferred outcome. If I go back to this very simple design is coming how to get from the existing situation into the preferred situation, actually it looks more like this. We know what the existing situation is, and probably even there we disagree every now and then, but let's face it, there is an existing situation, but we don't know what the preferred situation is. That's a question mark. So if design is all about how to get from the East to the soul, from the existing situation to the preferred situation, and we don't know what the preferred situation is, we have an equation with 2 unknowns, which is unsolvable. There are millions of ways how to deal with this equation from a logical perspective. Now, the only way to get out of it is by framing the situation. You say, what if we define a specific preferred situation? What if? Because if I do so, I can make a design. There's an existing situation. We agreed on what the preferred situation is within this frame, and I can make a design. The thing is, I don't know, of course, what frame is best. And therefore, I create multiple. I say, what if I have a preferred situation version 1 like this, because then I can make a design. What if I have another preferred situation, because I can make another design? And what if I can make again another preferred situation and have another design? I frame and reframe again and again in order to develop several possible courses of action we can do. And by exploring these different frames, we can compare them for the practical value. What is helping us most? This line of reasoning is not deductive reasoning nor inductive reasoning. It's called abductive reasoning. You compare multiple theories, multiple frames for the practical value. And that is why designers always develop multiple concepts, as it is often named. They say, you know what, we have concept A, which looks like this, and these are the costs, and this is what is needed. And then we have another concept, this is concept B, it looks like this, these are the costs, and this is what needed. And then we have concept C, and they show these kind of things to their stakeholders, to their users, to their clients. And by doing so, they learn on the go what kind of ideas, what kind of frames work best in practice. It's something that most people kind of forget when they think about design thinking. They try to analyze their way out and then make a design. But the logic of design thinking is that you always develop multiple frames and multiple lines of action that you can do and compare them. That's the logic of design. The implication is that, for instance, the double diamond with the 4 Ds, discover, define, develop, and deliver, actually needs to be deepened and be adjusted a bit. I named this the extended double diamond. And what I added here is that you see that you have multiple iterations, multiple kind of things within the process. So there's a discover phase. You always have to go out, analyze, get into contact, empathize with your audience, and so on. But then there's this phase, which I name frame and define. And frame and define is not just define what the problem is. No, it's also you develop multiple frames next to each other, each with another preferred outcome, another goal, and you compare them together with your clients, your users, your stakeholders. Once you did that, you have a frame and a definition. Then you start developing. Again, you will discover there are multiple things that can be done, multiple frames actually be explored. So there are still 2 or 3. And in time, you get more and more a feel what frame is best. So the logic of design is incorporated in this model. At one hand, you broaden the scope of what is needed, and in time, you deepen knowledge by trying and testing and learning on the go what is needed. Now, I hope I made the logic of design a little bit more clear, because logic is never easy to explain, and I hope to see you in another course. Thank you for your time.